Back at Santo's pack, the trio was led to the pack's cemetery, where they were able to add another 2 new moon wolves to their contracts once night fell. They were urged to stay the next day while they had a feast to celebrate the return of wolves thought lost, and the victory of the night before, where the warriors that had been left behind had been able to slaughter many vampires that had come to prepare for the pit fighting that would have been planned for later that night. Then they got to slaughter any that came for the scheduled matches. As much as the pack wanted them to stay and celebrate, the day of the singles meetup was fast approaching, and they still had one more pack to visit in Virginia.
There's no way we can make it back to Virginia in a few days driving normal, cuz we're going to make a series of jumps using space and fate magic. The fate magic will help us to appear in the new place when no one else is paying attention to the entry spot. I think we'll have to do around 3 jumps. How's your energy levels? We can stop at a cemetery if you need to.
Jeremiah explained.
I'm good. Where are we jumping to first?
Erin asked.
Arizona first, then Kansas, and then Virginia. I made some mental notes as we drove on good potential jump spots. We're coming up on our first transfer spot. Give me your hand and link up your magic. I'll lead.
Jeremiah said. Erin took his hand and felt her magic join with his and increase. It was always a rush when she joined with one of her family members, and could be downright overwhelming when she joined with 2 or more. Jeremiah had taught her a lot on this trip, and her own strength had increased during this road trip.
Leo, you ready?
Yes,
He replied as he gripped Erin's seat in front of him. He knew this would be like going through the doorway, and was impressed that Jeremiah would do this while they drove. There was a sudden falling sensation, and then it felt like the hearse bounced a little. Jeremiah blinked a few times, but they never slowed down.
How are you still driving like nothing happened?
Erin asked.
A couple reasons. I cast the spell, and this is easier than driving while on shrooms.
He replied with a smirk. At their open mouths, he said,
I was young and dumb once too. Don't judge.
where's the next jump?
Leo asked to break the tension.
It's up a ways. I didn't want to do them too close together. Even I'm not that crazy. We need to head north a bit where it's greener. The land has to be similar enough in order to jump. I mean, we could do it without that, and we could do it in one, but neither of us is strong enough to do it like that. Might need Susanna and Colby and Uncle Jacob to do a jump like that. Maybe even my mom, too. Hard to tell. Elevation throws things off, too. That's why we bounced like we did.
It was a few hours before Jeremiah signaled they were ready for another jump. This one was a little smoother. A few hours later had them ready for the final jump to Virginia.
Just a couple more hours and we'll be at the last pack. We'll be staying there the next few days until the meetup and travel with them,
Jeremiah said.
How does everyone get there anyway?
Erin asked.
It's the only time you'll see a werewolf on a plane.
Leo replied.
I'm so glad your parents and Uncle Jacob are sending some more of our clothes to this pack. I'm starting to get tired of seeing these clothes.
Erin laughed.
I know we've been getting our clothes cleaned, but I feel like they just aren't getting cleaned enough.
Leo remarked.
I know how you feel. I've been using matter magic to get that hard-to-get dirt out of my clothes, and they still feel grody.
Jeremiah replied.
Same. I was starting to wonder if I was just doing it wrong.
Erin groaned.
No, our clothes are just getting a lot more wear than would be normal in this amount of time. If it's clothing you really like, we can sit down and do more in-depth matter magic to make the deeper repairs. We might need to add matter to them so they feel right too.
Jeremiah lamented.
I'm just looking forward to real food.
Leo added.
I haven't had this much junk food in my entire life, and it's just not filling enough.
Hey, we stopped at diners.
Jeremiah protested.
And some of it was great. It's just nice to have a big old roast that's been cooking for a few hours every now and then.
Leo countered.
I do miss Chow's cooking.
Erin added.
Well, yeah. How can you not miss Chow's cooking after you've had it?
Jeremiah replied. It was evening as they pulled into the small parking lot in front of the small cabin that housed the phone line to call into the Alpha. They got out of the car and stretched for a bit before Leo headed in, found the Alpha's phone number written down next to the phone, and called.
Hi, Alpha Wojcik. This is Leo Ravenwing with Erin Blackwell and Jeremiah Bates.
He listened for a few moments before saying,
Yes, Alpha, we'll wait.
waiting for the Alpha to come get them was normal. It was getting dark, and it was easy enough to get lost if you weren't used to a pack's setup. It was only about 15 minutes before the Alpha came out of the woods.
I'm surprised you made it. Last I heard you were in Mexico.
Jeremiah used some space magic and was able to get us here in a few hops with a few hours between each hop.
Erin replied.
I hear we used to be able to do something similar with the ley lines. I hear that if this all works, we'll be able to use them again.
Wojcik lamented.
Leo and I used one during our midterm for the survival class. I was unconscious, though.
I heard about that. What was it like?
He asked Leo.
Dizzying. If you took a step, everything moved so quickly, so it was really easy to go past where you wanted to go. I've been told I was very lucky. I wasn't attacked by the Fae.
They continued to chat as they walked, the Alpha asking after their adventures he had only heard snippets of from other Alphas. He led them first to the pack's burial mounds and introduced them to the dead. Since Erin had started on this journey, the dead in all of the pack lands had become more active, appearing to Alphas for the first time in decades. Alpha Featherwind appeared and began leading Erin and Jeremiah to the last two new moon wolves to be contracted. Erin could feel their power as they stepped closer. These wraiths were powerful not only in their own wraith gifts, but had also been powerful when they were alive. The man among the pair took Jeremiah to his own grave, while the woman led Erin to her own grave. The contracting process went smoothly, and afterward everyone was led to the Alpha's house to eat and rest. Mrs. Wojcik had a feast waiting for them.
Look, Leo, she made a roast. She must have heard you in the car.
Erin joked.
Did I?
Mrs. Wojcik asked with a smile.
Smells just like Mum makes.
Leo replied.
I've been craving this.
She laughed.
I'm glad I could fill in.
The trio dug in eagerly, thankful for not only familiar food, but a good home-cooked meal. When they were ready, she led them to their rooms for the next 2 days. Inside were boxes addressed to each of them with clean clothes, new shoes, and their own shower products. They each grabbed showers and slept like the dead, knowing they didn't have to wake up early and head anywhere else. It was no surprise to the Alpha when they slept most of the next day. It was finally the morning of June 30th. There were 3 werewolves waiting in the courtyard for the Alpha to take them to the airport. They each carried a duffel bag filled with anything they would need at the meetup. Erin, Leo, and Jeremiah each carried a backpack.
How are all the Alphas going to get remains through airport security?
Erin asked.
Your Uncle Rufus made these cushion-lined boxes we could put the bones in, and your cousin Deacon made all the illusion wards. Anything placed in the boxes just looks like a fragile knick-knack, like a glass figurine, to any imaging device used on it. They all appear to be sealed, and if a non-mage tries to open it after something has been placed in it, it won't open. They would have to X-ray it or run one of those metal detectors over it. Even a cadaver dog wouldn't be able to pick up on anything. Heck, I can't even smell anything in this box. I was told the wards were suggested by your cousin Colby. He must have seen some scenarios, so prepared for them. Each Alpha received the boxes with a note explaining them this past week.
Jeremiah looked over the box in question.
My dad and Deacon did good work. It looks like there are more wards in case they get dropped, too.
Leo and Erin looked at each other and said together,
Alpha Trenton.
Jeremiah chuckled.
Yeah, he did seem to drop things more than any werewolf I've ever met.
Clumsy but powerful. I went to school with him. Only time he wasn't clumsy was when he was fighting.
Wojcik remarked. They had been walking as they were chatting, and so were soon at the passenger van that the pack owned. They were soon at the airport, and once they were at their gate, found that Jacob, Alpha Matthews, and Leo's parents were all there too, waiting to board. Erin quickly went to get a hug from Jacob, while Leo got them from his own parents.
We've been getting updates as you traveled. You 3 will have some stories to tell.
Jacob remarked.
Jeremiah, I booked you first class, so you didn't have to feel so cramped.
Jeremiah looked relieved.
You're the best.
Actually, I booked us all first class, but I knew it would affect you the most.
Jacob replied, gesturing to all of the werewolves too. There were many grins as he began passing out their boarding passes. Erin looked her pass over and saw it was for Topeka, Kansas.
It was chosen for being the most central location. We'll be staying at the Cyrus Hotel. I hear it's really nice.
Leo told her when he saw she was looking at where they were going.
We call it a family reunion so that no one asks too many questions.
In the Southern tradition, we have T-shirts made every year.
Alpha Matthews added.
One of the Texas packs drew the winning raffle to design this year's shirt. Each pack puts some money towards the shirts, and we send shirt sizes and numbers at the beginning of April. By that time, we know how many of our pack members will be attending, and they will have enough time to have them screen printed. We had to start doing it as a raffle because everyone wanted to make the family reunion shirts. One year, we had 3 different packs bring them, and it caused a fight. That was before my time, but it gets brought up whenever anyone gets salty that they didn't get to make the shirts. To make it fair, if you've already made shirts, you aren't in the drawing again until everyone has had a shot at it.
What's the family name you use?
Erin asked.
Wolf, of course.
Wojciech added. Erin couldn't help but laugh. Once they finally made it to the hotel, Alpha Matthews and Alpha Wojciech checked everyone in.
Wow, the Wolf family is massive. You have us completely booked up.
The desk clerk said.
Yes, we are very large. Not everyone can make it every year, but we still book out this hotel every year.
Wojciech replied as he took the keys for his pack members and began handing them out. 2 of the single wolves began sniffing at the air as they walked over towards the stairs and the elevators. Knowing what was happening, Matthews and Wojciech gave them a quick nod and held their hands out for the bags of the wolves in question.
We'll keep these for you until you're ready,
Matthews said. The 2 smiled in relief as they began to track their mates by their scent.
It's always a relief to see a packmate finally find their mates. Quentin has been waiting for several years now.
Wojciech replied. Their rooms weren't far from each other, and once they stepped inside, a basket on the bed was waiting for them.
What's this?
Erin asked.
The host pack, the one that designs the shirts, gets here a day early and help the cleaning staff of the hotel to set up these baskets. It will have the reunion shirts, a few snacks, an itinerary, anything else they chose to add.
An itinerary? You have more than the one event?
Erin asked.
This is a family reunion to the outside world. We set up this meetup to appear as normal as possible.
He opened up the itinerary and pointed out everything.
Everything will kick off with dinner at 5 p.m. at a local banquet hall, where we'll have a catered dinner. That's the main part of the night, but we'll have a lot more wolves than normal due to all the new moon wolves. In fact, I hear that this year we also took over the Hilton. The new moon wolves didn't come with us this morning. They will all be arriving later today, but before dinner. At 10 p.m., you and Jeremiah will be taking over, and by then, any non-new moon wolf will have left the hall, and the dead will be able to meet their new students. Ever since we discovered this was what we would be doing as soon as school ended, the alphas have all been really excited about this.
Oh, good. Maybe Alpha Featherwind will take over for me.
Erin replied as her cheeks reddened.
Don't tell me you've already got stage fright. You'll be fine. Remember, you will be telling these wolves how to treat the dead, and you know how powerful these wraiths are. Remember, no matter if you are talking to an alpha or a kid that just shifted for the first time this year, you are the one with all of the authority in that room. You've got this, Erin. We all believe in you. And you know Alpha Featherwind won't have chosen you if he didn't feel you could do this.
I know. I wish I was as outgoing as Jeremiah.
He'll be with you up there too, don't forget.
Erin nodded as he wrapped his arms around her, letting his own calm help her to calm as well. After a few moments, he felt her relax into him.
Come on, let's go get lunch. We'll grab the gang and go somewhere together.
He felt her nod against his neck and then loosen her arms around him. They separated, and after making sure one of them had a key card, began knocking on doors to see who wanted to go have lunch.